Oakmont Country Club just hosted the U.S. Open, but you can still take a swing at several popular golf courses in Beaver County. Some of these courses include Beaver Valley Golf Club in Patterson Heights, Old Stonewall Country Club in Elwood City, and Rolling Acres Golf Course in Beaver Falls. More information about these courses, along with a few others, can be found on our website at beavercountyradio.com. Gas prices are 16 cents higher in western Pennsylvania this week at about $3.49 per gallon, according to AAA East Central's gas price report. The report states that at this time a year ago, the average price for a gallon of gas in western Pennsylvania was around $3.80. The report also notes that the average price that you can expect for a gallon of unleaded gas here in Beaver County is about $3.51. Beaver County Radio News correspondent Sandy Giordano reports that the B.F. Jones Memorial Library in Aliquippa will be closed to celebrate Juneteenth. According to a Facebook post from the B.F. Jones Memorial Library, the library will close at 5 p.m. on Wednesday, June 18th, and will be closed on Thursday, June 19th, in observance of the holiday. According to police, an unidentified male bicyclist was hit by the drivers of two vehicles in the Homewood neighborhood of Pittsburgh on Sunday night. This occurred at the intersection of Frankstown Avenue and North Lang Avenue. The man was on the ground when officers arrived. Police learned the drivers were speeding down Frankstown Avenue side by side in a surveillance video. The man is in critical condition in a local hospital and got CPR before being taken there. On Monday, Kennywood Park was part of the fourth year of the world's longest roller coaster ride. The Steel Curtain roller coaster hosted 24 riders at 2 p.m. yesterday, the time that roller coasters across the world ran with it. The world's longest roller coaster ride celebrates the anniversary of the first modern roller coaster, Lamarcus Thompson's Switchback Railway.
Here's the Beaver County forecast.
Cloudy today with showers and thunderstorms likely. We'll see a high near 79. Showers and thunderstorms tonight will drop down to a low around 68. Mostly cloudy tomorrow with more rain and a chance of thunderstorms. Look for a high near 82 and a low around 70. And partly sunny on Thursday with a chance of showers and thunderstorms. We'll see highs near 80 and lows around 60. I'm Lisa Marie with your Beaver County weather.
That's a look at the news for now. I'm Noah Haswell on 99.3 FM, AM 1230 WBVP, 95.7 FM, and 1460 AM WMBA, also streaming live around the world at beavercountyradio.com.
Get All Stars now. And now, Patriot Home Care is proud to present the Beaver County Radio Morning Show with Frank Sparks and Scott Tatey. Frank and Scott will get you caught up on what's going on in the world with news, sports, and entertainment, along with playing some of your favorite tunes, including Pittsburgh area bands. And now, here are the hosts of the show, Frank Sparks and Scott Tatey.
Well, it's me. Scott has gone to greener pastures for the remainder of the morning. He's getting ready for his show over on the Rock Station 97 zone, so make sure you tune into that in Butler. But for now, that's at 10 o'clock. But for now, it is the second Tuesday, or the third Tuesday of the month, I guess. Third Tuesday of the month, which means Tom Young is in the house making his monthly appearance. Good morning, Tom.
Hey, good morning, Frank. Good morning, good morning. It's a sunny morning out there.
It's beautiful.
It reminds me the weekends, though, the weather we've been having. You know, everybody says, boy, how nice it is. And the pessimists will say, yeah, but it always rains on the weekend. And
I saw a thing over the weekend, last weekend actually, on the news that we have had some type of rain, some type of moisture every Saturday since March the 13th.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Yes.
Looks like this Saturday we're not going to.
My pontoon boat's getting lonely on the Beaver River. I have not been able to take it out because the river was a mess because of the rain and everything. And it's just now starting to clear up, and then the next day or two we're going to get more rain again. So.
Yeah, it's going to be beautiful this weekend.
That's right. But Saturday morning at 6:30, my flight leaves for Miami. And I'm going to a conference for 4 days. I'll be there. I won't be back till late Wednesday night.
You can take your boat out on the river if you want.
My boat is unique, Frank. It has its own little quirks that you have to deal with.
Yeah, I got
anything that's old, it's a 2000 model.
Okay.
And I've had it about 7-8 years. It's structurally very sound. The original motor on it was an old 49 horsepower. And I got rid of that and got a 90, which is the maximum on the boat.
Right.
And it was interesting how I bought the 90. I bought it from a guy up in Gibsonia who was on a big 20-foot John boat in his backyard. The wheels it had sat there for 2 years, and nobody had touched it. And the wheels were sunk into the ground to the axle. And we tried to start it, and I got it to brr, brr. I couldn't get it running, but my background in mechanics, if it would do that, then that told me that it was cranking over and everything. Right. And I brought it home and put it together, and so it's been a good thing. A couple years ago, I had to put a whole new bottom on it, new gearbox on it, because the gearbox was going bad.
Well,
And but I enjoyed it. I got 2 grandkids. I got Archer and Hunter, and they have a dog named Tracker. You get that?
Yeah.
Archer, Hunter, and a dog named Tracker.
That's
and
someone was thinking there.
Archer loves the boat. He told me about a couple of weeks ago. He says, "Pap, we're going to go fishing on the boat every day this summer."
Oh, there you go. So, all right.
Anyway,
well, so I know you always start with the prayer, and then we're going to talk about the Federal Reserve.
We're going to talk about a lot of things today. There was a lot of.
I'm looking forward to this one.
Mystery in the wind. Let me say that. I don't think it's all negative. I think I can put a positive spin on what's going on. But, folks, I'm Tom Young, the financial coach on WBBP, WMBA. I own First Consultants in Beaver at 1413 3rd Street, Beaver. Phone number 724-728-6820. And we're live here today. Our prayers today go out for, who wouldn't we pray for today? We got Israel and Iran, and we got Ukraine and Russia, and the people that are caught in the middle, the innocent people that live in these countries, and God take care of them, keep them safe, end this conflict. I don't understand how these men can't come to some kind of honest conclusion and stop the war and stop the killing and stop the fighting. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen.
Amen. You know, the financial world is I don't know, some people look at it and say, okay, it's on fire. A lot of crazy things going on. My 2 books, Family Money Farm, the CFO Project, and Financial Mastery Coaching, are both available. You can go to cfo-project.com, and it is a redone site. It is new, so there's a lot of new information on that site. And if you go there, put in your name and email address, that's cfo-project.com, and you'll get an email with a link to be able to download cover to cover both of my books. And then comes the discussion today. Let me start with a story. You know, if we talk about the smartest people in the world, we got Elon Musk and we got Bill Gates, and these people became the richest people in the world. So I guess we could look at them and think that they are some of the smartest people in the world. But I go back and I think that the dominoes started to fall back in the 1960s. In 1968, a group was formed called the Club of Rome. And the Club of Rome was a think tank made up of supposedly the smartest people on the planet. That always scares me now, because listen to the story of how this goes. They got together, and their mission statement was to look at the future and try to determine what we had to prepare for, what was going to happen in the future. And their very first prediction that they came out with was the world was going to run out of crude oil by 1993. Now, I don't think we ran out of oil in 1993, but that projection by the so-called smartest people on the planet, one of those people was a guy named Stephen Hawking. I think a lot of people remember Stephen Hawking. He was in a wheelchair. He was a paraplegic. And at one time, they thought he was the smartest guy on the planet. And he spoke electronically through computers and stuff. But anyway, they predicted that we were going to run out of crude oil. So now all of a sudden, a year later, OPEC was formed. Now, what's the connection between telling the world they're going to run out of oil and OPEC? Well, there was a Perez, who was a world oil broker in South America, who dealt with oil around the world and transactions, worldly transactions. And he knew a group of men in Texas that ran a group called the Texas Railroad Commission. Look it up, folks. Everything I'm talking about right now, you can go on the internet. There it is. It's all out there. This is not my opinion or anything. If I give you my opinion, I'll tell you it's an opinion. Otherwise, it's fact. So this guy named Perez, he knew what the Texas Railroad Commission does. What do they do? Well, they monitor the oil and gas and mineral production in the United States. Oh, isn't that interesting? So Perez went to the Arabs, who in 1969, it was believed that they controlled 85% of all the crude oil in the world. Well, we know that's not true now, but it was believed at that time. So Perez told the Arabs, look, these Texas Railroad Commission guys in America, they control everything. Imagine what you could do if you could control oil. So OPEC was formed in 1969 with the purpose of controlling the production and price of crude oil. Well, crude oil at that time in 1969 was $1.25 a barrel. $1.25 a barrel? I remember I was in high school. I graduated high school in 1967. I pumped gas at a Keystone gas station on 8th and Dust in Ambridge. And gas, a bunch of us would get together on a Saturday night. Everybody would throw in a couple bucks, and we'd buy a tank full of gas, and the gas was 27 and 9/10 cents for a gallon of gas. 1967. And we'd ride around all night, and I'd still have gas for a couple of days after that in doing that. However, 3 years later, 1972, oil was now $12 a barrel. That was 1,000% increase in 3 years. Do you think the Arabs made any money, Frank?
Just a little bit.
And 1,000% increase. So it was interesting. So now the next move was Nixon removed the ability to take cash to the U.S. government and say, I don't want the cash, I want gold and silver. So the old silver certificates, that was the way our money was set up, was you could trade in the cash and you would get gold. Well, that come off the table because it was believed that there was so much oil imported, we owed the Arabs so much money that they would come and want our gold out of Fort Knox. So they disconnected the money from the gold. Now that opened Pandora's box. What's Pandora's box? Fractional banking. Do you know what fractional banking is today? Fractional banking, very simply, is the Federal Reserve prints money from nothing, and they buy bonds in the marketplace to put cash in the marketplace. They buy assets from banks to put cash back in the banks. Now, wait a minute. You have money, Frank, I know you have savings.
Absolutely.
Right? You have savings. So what does the bank do with your savings, Frank?
I don't know. I keep my savings at home.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's good too. Well, we'll get to that. We're going to talk about the personal banking function.
I don't like.
Okay.
I'm always afraid that the bank's going to
talk
collapse.
about that.
All right.
But you put money in the bank. The bank we know is going to loan it out to somebody else.
Right.
Now, to get a loan at the bank, you have to put up collateral. So whether it's your house, your car, whatever it is you're borrowing money on, the ownership of that item or article or property belongs to the bank now until the loan is cleared and paid off. Well, when you do that, the bank takes your collateral that you put up for the loan. Mm-hmm. They go to the Federal Reserve window, and the Federal Reserve loans money against that asset. And their balance sheet right now, we're going to get to that, is about $6.8 trillion on their balance sheet. So this is all these assets. So the bank now loans out money to Position 2. First person borrowed money, they brought in assets, they turned over their assets for collateral. Mm-hmm. Bank took it to the Federal Reserve window, and 2 years ago, it was 0.25% is what the banks paid in interest at the Federal Reserve window. So they borrowed it from the Federal Reserve, loaned it out a second time, and those folks put up collateral again, go to the Federal Reserve window, get cash, go back, loan it out a third time, and a fourth, and a fifth, and a sixth on average. the bank turns the dollar 7 times.
Wow.
So that's why if we all, as customers of the bank, did a run on the bank, Frank, everybody go to the bank and say, I want my money. Don't do that. I'm not telling you to do that, folks. But if we all did that, how much money do you think there would be in the bank vault? Maybe 5 to 10 cents. Nickel to a dime on the dollar is what's really in the bank. The rest of it is leveraged out over and over and over again. So that leads me to where we're at today. So the Federal Reserve started this process big time, 1973, and today the Federal Reserve is in the bailout business. You know, we can talk about a couple of years ago, inflation appeared to be increasing. So the Federal Reserve believes it's their job to control the economy and to control inflation in some way. Let me reiterate, we had a great economy a few years ago when President Trump was President 45, but we had no inflation. Now, I scratched my head and no, wait a minute, everything was going well, and we didn't have any inflation because growth does not cause inflation. You know, business growth, business expansion does not cause inflation. Actually, it reduces it in what's going on. So they come on the scene a couple years ago, and they decided to raise the interest rates to quell the inflation that was going on. Now, you realize prior to that, there was about almost a 15 to 20-year period of time that interest rates were extremely low. In Europe, they were negative. In other words, if you put money in the bank, they charged you a fee to hold your money for you. Mm-hmm. And that was, they said it was coming here, but it never happened. So there's low interest rates. Now, during that period of low interest rates, banks have to have assets, that pure reserve that's called Tier 1 reserve in the banks. And that Tier 1 reserve, they have to maintain it. It's a watermark, and, you know, they can't go below that. If you go below that value, then the banks get in trouble and they get taken over by the Fed. They're out of business. That's what happened to the SVB Bank, the 12th largest bank in the country in California. When the Fed started to raise interest rates, bond values went down. Bonds are issued with a coupon interest rate. It's on every bond, whether it's high or low or whatever. However, if your bond is paying 2% on the coupon and new bonds are paying 4% on the coupon, how would you sell your bond? If your bond was an asset that you had to maintain a certain value, your bond value just went down dramatically, and that's what happened to SVB Bank. When the Feds raised the interest rates, the bond values went down. So it's kind of crazy there. And I don't know where it's going now because they're floating the interest rate around. Inflation appears to have slowed down based on their numbers and actually has reduced a little bit.
Yeah, I've seen it's down 1.3%.
It is. And now we got this turmoil going on with Iran and Israel and what's going on there. And I don't want to see... I've heard all the noise and the rhetoric out of Iran. I don't want them to have a nuclear bomb. Frank, I don't think you want them to have a nuclear bomb either.
No.
Because they've already told us what they're going to do with it if they had it. And so that's what's going on, and it's unfortunate. But all this stuff going on, we have to look and say, okay, well, what's going on in the world now? And I think we're going to take a break here, and then we're going to go to news.
Yep.
But we're going to come back, and we're going to talk about why did gold 2 years ago from $1,700 go to $3,500 an ounce today.
Wow.
So there are things happening. The QFS system is now live in the U.S. What is the QF? That's Quantum Financial System. So we're going to come back and have a lot of interesting information. Come on back.
All right, we'll be back with more.
Looking for an elevated dining experience with a lively bar atmosphere? Then Jackson's Restaurant and Bar in Monaca is your destination. Join Jackson's for a party on the patio, 5 to 8 p.m. June 19, with seasonal cocktails like sangria and raspberry lemonade, live music from the Groove Doctors, and an appearance by the Beaver County Radio Morning Show. Jackson serves modern American cuisine with a fresh flair, perfect for lunch, dinner, and a special Sunday brunch and dinner. Located near the Beaver Valley Mall, adjacent to the Hilton Garden Inn, Jackson's event space is the perfect venue for weddings or anniversaries. Visit jacksonsbeavercounty.com for details.
Luann's Route 68 Food and Spirits in Industry is the place for wing specials on Thursdays, fish, homemade crab cakes, and crab stuffed mushrooms on Fridays, as well as karaoke night. Luann's Route 68 Food and Spirits is known for their famous steak salads and has happy hour from 4 to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. Find Luann's Route 68 Food and Spirits on Facebook for daily specials and live music. Luann's Route 68 Food and Spirits and Industry is veteran-owned and looks forward to serving you today.
Are you frustrated by high copays for your generic drugs? Stop overpaying and start saving. Discover Forward RX, your local Cost Plus pharmacy in New Brighton. At Forward RX, we believe in transparency and affordability. No insurance middlemen, no inflated prices, just the true cost of your medication plus a simple fixed markup. Join the Forward RX family today and experience the difference. Check out our medication prices online at fwdrx.com or give us a call for a price quote. Forward RX. Come for the savings and stay for the service.
Are you looking to invest in yourself, your child, or family members? At Clark Martial Arts, you can invest in boosting confidence, getting strong, and gaining skills you can use for life. Clark Martial Arts is located at 603 Darlington Road next to Patterson Elementary School. Clark Martial Arts offers single and family memberships which include Taekwondo, Kung Fu, and Tai Chi. Also available are specialty classes featuring Jiu-Jitsu and Krav Maga. Additional yoga and fitness classes available. Clark Martial Arts at 603 Darlington Road in Patterson Township. Stop in today.
Put freedom in your future. Freedom United Federal Credit Union in Rochester.
I'm Patty.
And I'm Bob. We're retired, and we live at St. Barnabas in the Village.
We used to have a house.
Lived in it for 40 years.
Raised our kids.
But it became too much. The upkeep, the stairs.
Moving seemed like such a hassle. We didn't even know where to start, so we didn't.
Until we met Cindy at St. Barnabas.
She talked us through our options.
Yeah, and she helped us with our move and all the arrangements.
There was so much stuff. Who knew we had 3 fondue pots?
But she made it easy.
So easy.
Now we enjoy ourselves.
Golf, the pool, new friends, shuttles to where we want to go.
The pub and the food.
So good.
There wasn't a long-term commitment or any large fees.
And they have a healthcare system on campus with doctors if we need it. The kids really like that.
The kids like to come and eat with us.
There's an easier, worry-free way to retire at the Village at St. Barnabas. Come visit us for a free and informative counseling session and personal tour.
I can't believe you waited so long.
I can't believe you waited so long.
Visit stbarnabashealthsystem.com or call 724-443-0700.
How about NASCO Roofing? They take pride in exceeding customer expectations. From start to finish, Chad from Rochester, completely impressed with NASCO. Chad said NASCO's a top-notch company, and he recommends them to anyone needing a roof. NASCO has satisfied thousands like Chad, and they can help you. Locations in Pittsburgh and Youngstown, the pros at NASCO passionately roof the region. Special financing available. Call 412-373-2000 or go to NASCOroofing.com. NASCO Roofing, NASCO.
Have you ever found something interesting that makes you go, oh? Then tune in every other Tuesday from 5 to 5:30 p.m. on Beaver County Radio for the Oh Show with Orlana Dawkins Drury. Orlana relates her views about informing, inspiring, and entertaining headlines that makes the world go round in interviews with local influencers that make you go, oh. The episode will be on Beaver County Radio Facebook and YouTube pages, so make sure to join the Oh Show with Orlana Dawkins Drury every other Tuesday from 5 to 5:30 right here on 99.3 FM and 1230 WBVP.
Beaver County Boom is turning 15 on June 28th, and Push Beaver County is celebrating by presenting an encore of Zambelli International's gold medal-winning Cosmic Connection show. The 15th annual Beaver County Boom is presented by Visit Beaver County. Air Heritage's vintage C-47 military airplane, the Luck of the Irish, will fly over along with skydivers, and it will all be followed up by the star of the show, Beaver County Boom at 9:45 p.m. All the action takes place over the Ohio River between Monaca and Rochester. Bring your radio along or listen on your smart device to the Clearview Federal Credit Union live broadcast on Beaver County Radio beginning at 6. Title presenter sponsor of Beaver County Boom is Visit Beaver County. Diamond sponsors include Clearview Federal Credit Union and the Davis Foundation. Media partners include Beaver County Radio, the Beaver County Chamber of Commerce, and Simonic Creative, among others. Don't miss Beaver County Boom, Saturday, June 28th.
You're listening to Beaver County Radio, your home for local news, information, and music. Brought to you by Fry Transportation. Beaver County Radio and Fry Transportation, helping to make Beaver County a better place to live, work, and play.
Beaver County Radio, coming to you live from the all-new St. Barnabas Broadcasting Studios in Brighton Township. Beaver Beaver County Radio's news source. 99.3 FM, 1230 WBVP, and BeaverCountyRadio.com. Here's Noah Haswell.
Good morning on this Tuesday, June 17th of 2025. There is a flood watch in effect which starts at 11 a.m. today and it will go until 10 p.m. tonight. We will have a complete Beaver County radio weather forecast after we take this look at news. A police officer from Elwood City was punished on Monday for a confrontation at a Sheetz on 5th Street in Elwood City that was caught in a recent viral video with some profane language. Rob Magnifico pushed 20-year-old Devin Hartman on Friday, June 6th. Hartman wanted his phone back when he got caught recording in the store. Magnifico was demoted to officer, got suspended without pay for 10 days, and got an order to take anger management classes. According to a release from Cary Ford Public Relations, 2 Beaver County students will receive the 2025 Vicari McDonald's of Elwood City Scholarship today at 4:30 p.m. This will occur at the McDonald's located in Elwood City. $1,000 will go to both Tessa Folino from Lincoln High School and Lucas Moody from Riverside High School for both being leaders and participating in community service. The beach at Raccoon Creek State Park in Beaver County has been named in a survey taken in June by Frugal Flyer as one of the best hidden gem beaches in the United States. According to this survey, the Raccoon Creek State Park beach ranks number 41 out of the 95 beaches ranked on the survey. That beach is also the only one from Pennsylvania to make that survey. The releasing of the survey was from Frugal Flyer, a travel blog from Canada. Oakmont Country Club just hosted the U.S. Open, but you can still take a swing at several popular golf courses in Beaver County. Some of these courses include Beaver Valley Golf Club in Patterson Heights, Old Stonewall Country Club in Elwood City, and Rolling Acres Golf Course in Beaver Falls. More information about these courses, along with a few others, can be found on our website at BeaverCountyRadio.com. Gas prices are 16 cents higher in western Pennsylvania this week at about $3.49 per gallon, according to AAA East Central's gas price report. The report states that at this time a year ago, the average price for a gallon of gas in western Pennsylvania was around $3.80. The report also notes that the average price that you can expect for a gallon of unleaded gas here in Beaver County is about $3.51. Beaver County Radio News correspondent Sandy Giordano reports that the B.F. Jones Memorial Library in Aliquippa will be closed to celebrate Juneteenth. According to a Facebook post from the B.F. Jones Memorial Library, the library will close at 5 p.m. on Wednesday, June 18th, and will be closed on Thursday, June 19th in observance of the holiday. According to police, an unidentified male bicyclist was hit by the drivers of 2 vehicles in the Homewood neighborhood of Pittsburgh on Sunday night. This occurred at the intersection of Frankstown Avenue and North Lang Avenue. The man was on the ground when officers arrived. Police learned the drivers were speeding down Frankstown Avenue side by side in a surveillance video. The man is in critical condition in a local hospital and got CPR before being taken there. On Monday, Kennywood Park was part of the 4th year of the world's longest roller coaster ride. The Steel Curtain roller coaster hosted 24 riders at 2 p.m. yesterday, the time that roller coasters across the world ran with it. The world's longest roller coaster ride celebrates the anniversary of the first modern roller coaster, LaMarcus Thompson's Switchback Railway.
Here's the Beaver County forecast.
Cloudy today with showers and thunderstorms likely. We'll see a high near 79. Showers and thunderstorms tonight will drop down to a low around 68. Mostly cloudy tomorrow with more rain and a chance of thunderstorms. Look for a high near 82 and a low around 70. And partly sunny on Thursday with a chance of showers and thunderstorms. We'll see highs near 80 and lows around 60. I'm Lisa Marie with your Beaver County weather.
That's a look at the news for now. I'm Noah Haswell on 99.3 FM, AM 1230 WBVP, 95.7 FM, and 1460 AM WMBA, also streaming live around the world at BeaverCountyRadio.com.
It all starts
And now, Patriot Home Care is proud to present the Beaver County Radio Morning Show with Frank Sparks and Scott Tatey. Frank and Scott will get you caught up on what's going on in the world with news, sports, and entertainment, along with playing some of your favorite tunes, including Pittsburgh area bands. And now, here are the hosts of the show, Frank Sparks and Scott Tatey.
And Scott's off and doing something. I don't know what he's doing, but I'm hanging out with Tom Young, which is one of my favorite things to do. So I like listening to Tom talk about financial, and he is our financial coach here at WBVP and WNBA, and we're talking about a lot of things today, and a lot as our world goes today as well.
It is, Frank. The things that are happening that are just, I call it my 30,000-foot view, that I like to look at a vast number of things. And I see all kinds of things on YouTube and Facebook and all across the social media spectrum. Truth Social, I'm on there. And when I see something that is really out in left field somewhere, I don't take it anywhere until I see it at least 3 times from 3 different places, 3 different sources. One of the sources that I watch is a guy named Jim Rickards, and he's a pretty influential guy on the money side, and he's talking about the reset right now. The QFS, Quantum Financial System, is coming into play. That is up and live. I actually have a Quantum Financial System account. Quantum Financial System is backed by gold and silver, so all of the money and the value that is in that account is backed by gold and silver. So it is not the fiat currency that you and I deal with every day, our paper money in the U.S. money. Right now, the world is unbundling itself from our treasuries. In other words, there are movements in the world that are moving our money away from being the world currency. The organization that was created in 2008, 2009 called BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. And now there's another 20, 30, 40 other countries are joining that. That group comprises close to 60% of the population on the planet. And they are working diligently to create their own currency, and their currency is going to be backed by gold, precious metals, etc. There's an interesting thing I've been hearing from Rickards about the $150 trillion trust fund. I don't know if you've heard this, but they're talking about in America, there is a trust fund that was created back in the 1800s that today has a value of $150 trillion in America. And it's been kept separate from the government and everything going on. Now, my impression of what are they talking about, if you took a balance sheet, if you understand a balance sheet in business, I'm going to list all the assets on one side and all the liabilities on the other. And if I have a lot more assets than liabilities, I'm considered to be in good financial strength in doing that. So my opinion of what this is, Tom's opinion now, I believe they're looking at all of the land, the millions of acres of land that is owned by the federal government, the thousands of buildings owned by the federal government across the country, and literally the assets of the federal government that they have acquired since the 1800s when they started doing this, and I think that's what they're talking about. They go on and on and on. They're not specific, but they mention the word assets when they're talking about this. So I believe that looking at it in that way, we're not as broke as we're led to believe in what's going on. I just believe that there is a dark side, the deep state, whatever you want to call it. There's a dark side that is still trying to control all of this stuff going on. The elites, the World Economic Forum, and on and on and on. Moody's downgraded our credit rating about a month ago, which was the second time in 2 years. So we've been downgraded twice. two ratings down. What is coming on July 1, as I understand it, and I've heard this from multiple sources, is Basel III. Now, what is Basel III? Basel III is where gold, which currently, the tier 1 asset of the bank, the pure reserve of the bank, is made up right now of bonds and guaranteed cash value life insurance. Now, why are those two assets important to that tier 1? Well, obviously, investment grade and treasury bonds, those are supposedly the safest place on the planet to store money. So that's one of the tier 1 assets of the banks. But they also have an average of anywhere from 20 to 30 to a few banks have as much as 40% of their reserve in life insurance cash value. Now, why is life insurance cash value so important? Because of actuarial science and the way insurance companies are managed. Now, the old mutual companies, there are only a few of them left that have been around since the early 1900s, the late 1800s. Dividend-paying mutual life insurance companies are owned by the policyholders, okay? Stock corporations, which is 99% of all the insurance companies out there, are corporations owned by stockholders operated at a profit. And they lead you, the consumer, to believe that there is no difference between one and the other. And we're just a competitive product. In other words, our whole life is cheaper, our term is cheaper than theirs, and on. And I'm telling you right now, it's not about the price. It's about the strength and the stability and the longevity of the company. Because 99% of all these companies, I'd say 85% of all of them, because a lot of the big ones, Prudential, Metropolitan, John Hancock, a lot of the big old mutual companies demutualized in the 1980s and early 90s. They went to the federal government and said, look, with everything that's going on, if you weren't alive in the 80s, or maybe you were, Frank, when the interest rate, prime rate went to 21.5%. So if you were a business guy and you were borrowing at 2% over prime, you were borrowing money at 23.5%. So that was what happened in the 80s. And because of that, these big mutuals went to the federal government and convinced them, so through the federal courts, they were allowed to demutualize. The company that I was originally with, General American Life Insurance Company, they were the 14th largest company in the country, and they demutualized, and then they were ultimately taken over by Metropolitan Life Insurance Company, which also demutualized. So there was a lot of consolidation. Once they demutualized, then the consolidation started to occur of these companies.
So for people don't understand, what does mutual mean?
Well, mutual means it's owned by the policyholders. In other words, there's no stockholders, and then the tax code every year, that company must distribute all the profits to the policyholders. That's where dividends come from in dividend-paying mutual whole life policies. Now, the secret to these companies is how they're managed, because banks have gone under because their bond values change, because the interest rates change in the marketplace. However, if you hold a bond to maturity, Frank, you're going to get your money back.
Right.
You only lose money if you have to sell in the short term when the interest rates have changed, gone up, and which would cause your bond to have less value. But the insurance companies historically, they use actuarial science. Now, what is actuarial science? That is the study of millions of lives. In other words, they can't tell you who, Frank, but they can tell you to the fraction how many are going to die in a year. Now, think about it. During COVID in 2020, they said the death rate that year was 36% higher than normal. Well, none of the companies lost any money. These companies, because they also have contingency funds. Here's their main projection by the actuary and what they do is they buy bonds. When the actuary puts this together based on the number of policies and the expected death of policyholders based on age, I mean, that's what the study is. They know how many are going to die at any given age. So they buy bonds and match the bonds to that claims. So that's why for 150 years, these companies, They're the only people that can say we never lost anybody's money. Now, why else would the Federal Reserve allow their member banks to store their money in life insurance policies? You don't know this. You're not going to hear this from anybody else because we're competitive. We want you to buy our product, our prices lower, cheaper, whatever. That's not true, because if you look at over time, I have a policy that I bought in 1987, Frank. It was a $3,300 annual premium at that time. That was a lot of money in 1987. From that beginning of that policy to today, the cash value in that policy today, I would have had to have earned in the bank 4.5% after tax to equal the value in that policy today. And I have leveraged that policy by borrowing from the insurance company, using my policy as collateral, applying what I call the banking function. I don't bank at commercial banks. I have checking accounts. I need to do that to pay bills and that.
Right.
But I bank myself. In other words, so I borrow money on my insurance policy and I buy a car. I borrowed money on my insurance policies to build the addition on my building 7, 8, 9 years ago when I did that. So I have used my policies as leverage. Now, what does that mean? Yes, the insurance company is going to charge me interest on the loan, but that interest has never gone outside of 4.5% to 5.5%. In my 49-year career, policy loans was maybe 4.5% in the 80s. And, of course, there's a few of those stock insurance companies, they're charging 8%. So they say, well, gee, look how high our dividend is because we're charging you 8% to loan you money. So you're feeding your own profits that way, so it's not really fair in my mind in what's going on. So what I do is I'm in control of the banking function, and even though I pay interest to the insurance company, I'm feeding the profits, which at the end of the year, those profits go to the policyholders. I am not paying the interest to me. Agents, there are agents that tell people, oh, when you borrow, you're paying the interest back to you. No, you are not. You're paying the interest to the insurance company. They're charging you interest just like they would do if they bought a bond from somebody. They would expect interest payments on that bond in the exact same way. So here's the difference. And how do you find this? This information is not in colleges. It's not anywhere. So understanding how to really make money and make things work in your life. Because my goal, let me explain retirement planning. Retirement planning is really simple. If I put on my financial planning hat, which I have all these initials after my name, so I've taken all the courses and I continue to, what I realized a number of years ago is all it taught me was how to get control of your money for them. Does that make sense, Frank? And we went, just give me all your money. We're going to take care of it. We're going to give you a good rate of return, and blah, blah. So there was no education about how money really works. You know, I tell a story. If you're 25, you just got out of college, you bought your first automobile, $25,000 car. That's not an expensive car today, folks. That's probably a used car today. And you finance it for 60 months at 8% interest, which is the average car loan today. So at the end of 60 months, your monthly payment was $507 a month, but you've paid $5,400 in interest to the bank. So so your car was $25,000, now you paid another $5,400 of interest, so you paid $30,400 for the car, what you paid for the car. But that $30,400 is money that you've now lost forever. True?
Yep.
So people lose money unknowingly and unnecessarily every day. And that money that you lose has opportunity cost. What is opportunity cost? If that $5,400 you paid the bank in interest was invested at 8% interest, over your lifetime at retirement, it will be worth $253,000. Let me say that again. That $5,400 invested over your lifetime would be worth $253,000. So imagine, Frank, that you didn't borrow at the bank, you borrowed at the family bank. Mom and Dad learned this system, they built this system, and they finance the purchases inside the family. So that would have been another $253,000 for the family wealth. So you buy another car every 5 years. Every 60 months, you buy another car. And when you reach retirement, you've now lost $770,000. But you're going to live another 20 years, so that $720,000 compounds to at least $1.5 million. So I sit and I scratch my head, and I mean, I can't believe that they're not lined up the sidewalk in my office, Frank. I really believe that in my mind. I do God's work. I want people to succeed. I want people to be happy. I want people to understand their money and how it works. It requires discipline. This is not get rich quick, but it's the only way to get to retirement. And here's the kicker: have the most you can have when you get there. See, typical financial planning, what they say is we're going to say, okay, here you are at 45 today. What are you making now? We're going to project that to age 65 when you're going to retire. Is that all the money that you really want to make today? Are you really making what you really want to make? So all of these are built on assumptions. And no one, in my 49 years, I've met no one that achieved the goals that they had set in that manner. I mean, you said goals, Frank. We all do in our different ways.
Absolutely.
How many times do we really hit the goal
Not
of
real
what
often.
we're doing? Not much. We
Yeah.
always fall a little short. So my mind, the real retirement planning is planning to have the most I can have by being as efficient as I can be today. I hope that makes sense to you folks out there. It's about efficiency. It's about looking at your money and managing it in the most efficient way, not just following the 4 rules of the financial world. They have 4 rules. I want all your money, more ongoing, keep it forever, and give back as little as possible. So they stay in control of your money in perpetuity. It's really what their game plan is in what they're doing. So as I wrap up today, folks.
Well, you got good timing. I was just telling you, it's almost time to go.
I can't. It's up there, but it's in front of me on my podcast phone, my Facebook phone. So sitting here looking at what are we doing now? What do you really want, folks? It's about you. It's about what do you want? What are you trying to accomplish? And if you can show me that and explain that to me. I mean, I can sit down and figure out what the best way to do it is long term. This is not get rich quick. Interest rates are going to rise, they're going to fall. All of that is always going to happen. It's historic. It's always happened. 2008 crashed because a bunch of rich old men in ivory towers, were making money on credit default swaps. And what were credit default swaps? Well, that was where the banking industry was told by President Clinton to make loans to everybody. Didn't matter if you make loans to people on the other side of the track. I know they don't pay their payments, but you make loans to them. So there was 1 million loans made down in the Virginia, D.C. area to illegal aliens that had no income and no job and no assets. So what did that say? So the banks compiled the mortgages and they sold them to Wall Street. And then a company called AIG, they said, well, we'll insure them. And they created a product called credit default swaps. So the portfolio managers paid a fee to AIG to insure the portfolios that ultimately collapsed and crashed. And the crash was so big that it crashed AIG, insurance company, and investment firm. And I guess they were too big to fail, Frank. So that was when the Federal Reserve took $85 billion of your and my tax dollars and bailed out this company because a bunch of fat old cigar-smoking guys in the ivory tower of that company was greedy and figuring out they would get rich doing this. Mm-hmm. They got caught with their pants down, but yet we bailed them out. SVB Bank in California. FDIC, I have the numbers here for FDIC. Mm-hmm. They talk about, well, my money's insured at the bank. You know how much insurance there is on the money? It's 1.25%. It's just a little more than 1% of all the deposits in all the banks. That's the assets that the FDIC has right now. 1.25% of all the assets. There's $135 billion, $33 billion in reserve at the FDIC. And guess what? There's almost $9 trillion of deposits across America that are insured by FDIC, Frank. How much is it going to take for this boat to capsize? That's what's coming right now as our dollar is being pushed out of the marketplace around the world. QFS is going to come on. We're going to ultimately move to a gold-backed currency through the Treasury of the U.S. government. But to get from here to there is going to be painful. If you want to know how it's going to go and what may or may not happen, you want to go to YouTube and follow Dr. Scott Young, not a relative, Dr. Scott Young /NESARA, Nesara, and do some research so you're prepared for what is coming.
All right.
Frank, been
how can people get a hold of you, buddy?
You can get a hold of me at 724-728-6820. Thomas Young at 1stconsultantsinc.com. Go to the website, 1stconsultantsinc.com. Check me out. I dare you to come and sit with me for 45 minutes. I'll make you 2 promises as I end today. I'm not going to ask you to buy anything. Won't be a second meeting unless you want it. Most of my business is across the country. I do business right now in 38 states across America. So God bless you all. We'll see you here again next month, hopefully, or another interesting day.
All right. Sounds good, buddy. See you then.
Easy to answer. Would you rather be sold something or get professional help and advice that ultimately leads to a strategy that best suits your needs? Tom Young at First Consultants Inc. in Beaver has a unique approach that has won over the trust of even the most skeptical clients.
Everybody that's selling is looking for a profit. I focus on creating strategies that are in the client's best interest.
Ask yourself this: what have you got to lose? The answer might be a fortune. Get financial strategies instead of a pitch about a product. Visit firstconsultantsinc.com or be a part of Tom Young's live simulcast presentation on the 3rd Tuesday of each month beginning at 9:10 a.m. on Beaver County Radio and Facebook Live. All advisory services are offered through PL Wealth LLC. PL Wealth is a federally registered investment advisor. PL Wealth is in no way affiliated with First Consultants Inc., nor is First Consultants Inc. a registered investment advisor.
Everyone is looking forward to the Beaver County boom, but there's one boom that no one likes to hear. It's the one that's coming from your heating or air conditioning unit. When things just aren't sounding right or working right, call McGee's and you'll see just how efficient a company can be. McGee Heating and Air Conditioning has been serving Beaver County since 1965. Family owned and family operated, you can trust them. McGee is happy to help sponsor the Beaver County boom. McGee Heating and Air Conditioning, Main Street, Aliquippa. Call 724-375-5181 for repair or a free estimate today.
Got kids? Too much to do? No time to cook? Download the McDonald's app today and get dinner delivered